Hello, everybody. This was a repeating pattern that I've noticed over the years with the Bitcoin price on the weekly chart. If you guys learned something new from this, make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Anyways, I am on the weekly chart at the moment. And right now, I'm just going to turn on the 200-week simple moving average. Make sure it is not the EMA, the 200-week EMA. And make sure you are on the weekly chart when doing this. And so this will be the green line that shows up on my chart right now. As just looking in the past of the Bitcoin price history, we get a few touches whenever we get a macro bottom on the Bitcoin price. So right here, back in the December of 2018, just measuring this out, we did get a sort of a long time. So it took about 120 days before the price really started to pump up. But again, it likes to kind of hover around touching the 200-week simple moving average for roughly about 60 days or so. So a good 2 months nonetheless. Looking at the back in the March 2020 crash, this was kind of an exception to the rule, as it was a black swan, kind of an outlier, but it did crush through it nevertheless. But we did hover around it for a good 21 days or 3 weeks, give or take. Looking back, when Bitcoin price kind of touched this simple moving average again, this we did get a small touch right here. And then, of course, we just kind of lagged around here around the 200 simple moving average, holding around it for, again, about a month and a half. So nevertheless, Bitcoin tends to kind of touch the simple moving average and then kind of consolidate or hover around it, acting as very strong support. So what does this mean? This means that usually big players are kind of looking at this, using this, and just kind of DCA in and just kind of accumulating as much Bitcoin or other cryptos as possible. And so really this is looking at the large time frame on the weekly chart. Again, you have to be on the weekly chart when kind of looking at this 200 simple moving average. The 200 simple moving average is simply just calculating out the past 200 days of Bitcoin price, and this really just mapping it out and kind of showing an average of price over time. So what does this really mean? Well, this really means if we go towards what's happening right now, that we can see we're getting the 200 simple moving average and price is just kind of bouncing up from it. So what does this mean kind of in the future? Well, if we just kind of take our measurement tool and just map this out and say we do hover around here for a good 2 months, give or take, this would put us in as kind of accumulating until the middle of August 2022. So really kind of all summer, we're going to be kind of accumulating here. Bitcoin price won't really be moving, dropping, or pumping in that case. But it means that Bitcoin would be kind of having a good DCA or dollar cost averaging opportunity. So just looking at the macro, what this means is that, again, I don't really see Bitcoin dropping down any further. Really, the worst case scenario would be we come down to 14K. However, just looking at Bitcoin price is that really the only exception that Bitcoin did crush through this 200 simple moving average was on a black swan. And a black swan event is really an outlier. So we can just say this is an outlier of our data. But really just looking at price of the past of Bitcoin price. Again, the 200 simple moving average tends to be a pretty good support, a very strong support, and a very strong bottom. Now, what will it mean for kind of the future of the Bitcoin price? Well, usually just measuring from the 200 simple moving average and just kind of measuring to the local tops. So we'll just do our previous example of the March 2020 crash and just measuring this up a good 1,000%. I'll do it again from the kind of the late 2018 to the early 2019 crash. Measure that up a good 330%. I'll measure it out from here, from back here. And this was a good 8,000%. And then lastly, I'll just do it from kind of right here, and then I'll measure it up from this top too. So a good 160%. So nevertheless, Bitcoin tends to kind of quadruple in price, just in whenever it kind of acts as support and kind of hovers around support in the 200 simple moving average. Really, this is all you really need to look for. Just make sure you type in and go to indicators and type in simple moving average and not exponential moving average, as that will be a different kind of data point that price will extract from. So just do and stick to the simple moving average. Now, the other thing I kind of want to talk about is, again, with the curves you see on my chart. So again, the top support as resistance, and then of course, kind of the median of the zone, and then of course the bottom of the channel. So you can see right now we're kind of in the price median zone. I like to call this kind of the buy zone of the whole kind of chart. And so give or take, if we do end up kind of hovering around here until the middle of August, so that will give us kind of the end of this whole accumulation phase at the middle of August. And give or take, we measure that about 300%, assuming that we will repeat it from this pattern. So again, we measure 300%. And that could put us a good around $91,000 Bitcoin to $100,000 Bitcoin. Also, just measuring it out from the whole cycle is that we may get a Bitcoin top at the end of 2022 or the kind of the beginning of 2023. That is our first scenario. Our second scenario would really be that, say, price takes a while, and we measure that out from, again, 300%. This is being kind of conservative. So I'll measure it out from kind of the middle of August again, and just measure it up 300%. So that could take us towards kind of the middle of March 2023. And Bitcoin price would be at roughly around $95,000. So give or take, really, when this kind of simple moving average holds and kind of bottoms out as Bitcoin kind of accumulates during this zone. Nevertheless, really, as kind of being conservative, we do see Bitcoin at the least taking out these highs. So at least a $70,000 Bitcoin to about a $90,000 Bitcoin. And that is, again, just kind of being conservative. If you want to get more kind of bullish based off of that, we can measure it out from the top of this regression channel. And again, just looking at the Bitcoin price. Again, this has been a strong resistance in the past, the 3 times. If we do end up touching that again, I will just kind of map that out. And so that would put us at around $140,000 Bitcoin in about the middle of June. Give or take, if we do kind of go hyperbolic and get very, very bullish from here, that would lead us from a top at around $130,000 Bitcoin at the end of 2022. So again, I don't see us having a top at the end of 2022, but nevertheless, it is there. It is possible. The more probable scenario, though, is that we get a top out in the middle of June of next year, kind of. That's if Bitcoin decides to start pumping again after the middle of August. So again, August 15th, that will just be the end of the accumulation zone, and then just kind of measuring it up from there to the middle of kind of June, give or take, of 2023. Again, that would put us at around a $140,000 Bitcoin and a price increase of 540%, give or take. So again, that will kind of give Bitcoin roughly 11 months 10 to 11 months to just kind of be in a parabolic stage. So just comparing that to kind of previous price actions, Bitcoin price will most likely just kind of pump up pretty strongly after that long accumulation zone. So that is a scenario. And then another scenario is Bitcoin will possibly just kind of repeat kind of this, where it kind of goes and tends to be very, very bullish. Usually, that's kind of how price works, is that whenever people are super bearish, like right now, for example, I know a lot of people who are calling for really 15K to about like 10K. So taking out these lows right here, but nevertheless, again, believe in the 200 simple moving average, as again, it is a common accumulation zone line on the weekly chart. Again, price tends to not to really break below that. Again, really the only exception to this was the Black Swan event. And then, of course, when Bitcoin was super, super young, again, over here back in August. And again, when it didn't really hover around that too long, but nevertheless, it was very, very close to the 200 simple moving average. So that is pretty much it for it. Again, I do expect this Bitcoin price to kind of go sideways until the middle of August, but nevertheless gives a very good dollar cost averaging opportunities for the crypto market overall. And so this will be kind of bullish for Bitcoin nevertheless. So not financial advice, but make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll possibly come back and do more videos based on this. Probably take a look at it again once kind of middle of August comes around. We'll kind of update the price and see more scenarios kind of mapping out. And then, of course, we'll take a look at it at the end of 2022. And then lastly, we'll take another look at it at the middle of June of next year. So thanks for watching. All right, bye.